I'm Jeff Gordon, and you're watching Racing America.
Oh, there we are, live and in charge on a Tuesday night edition of everybody's favorite racing and sports talk show. This is indeed the Revved Sports Show from Texas. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee. That's me right here. And then across the way there is Rodney Rodriguez, the Iceman, going retro tonight, sporting your Dirty Air merch.
Yeah, I actually had to, I did something before this. So there wasn't a lot of time in between. So it's like, you know what? I'll just leave it on because it is provided by On Demand Shirts, just like everything that we sport, So figured, why the hell not? The polo fits. So let's just keep it on. Let's just keep it on and do some good
Speaking
stuff.
of merch, mine came in the mail today.
There you go. Man, that's fast.
Well, not the whole order, just the here, go to the wide shot. First debut, worldwide debut of the Bobby Chaffee merch today. Coming soon to a store near you. So Showtime Bobby Chaffee merch from On Demand Shirts coming up here shortly. So
got to tell them where you can get it, man. It'll probably be tagged along if you look in the show description right here. And if you go to revvedupsportshow.com, you can go to the top and there's a merchandise thing up there at the top. You can click on there. I'm assuming that's where that may be. I don't know what
it will be at some point. I got to finalize everything. That's my proof of concept there. So
there you go. So so I'm sure you'll be able to find that right there. And the cool thing about that is it's really cool to have that kind of stuff. I mean, these polos and all that, where it's kind of more exclusive to us, being the host or whatever. And we've got the on-demand shirts, right there. I think it is. So always really cool with that. But the t-shirts and all that, lots of times you can go to that. You can go to that online store, but odds are if you ask us, if you happen to run into one of us, which more often than not, it's going to be Bobby than me. We probably have some of that shit laying around. So just ask and we'll be glad to hook you up because ain't nothing wrong with that. So well done, man. On Demand Shirts, best spot for your gear needs. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't have to be just racing. I mean, they do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, if you can brand it, they can make it.
Yeah.
So they're more than just shirts. On Demand Shirts is the name, but they do koozies and they do those really cool custom embroidered hats. We'll get some more hats for the people that have been wanting the Revved Up hats. We're getting another batch of those done so we can have some more of those to pass out. Those were really popular. Those will also be for sale if you can't catch us at a racetrack near you at the merch store that Rodney alluded to. So yeah, it's lots of good stuff happening. Kind of, I would say the rain and stuff caught the mid portion of the season here and actually caught a lot of places out. Including the Braves and the Reds at Bristol. And then, of course, the Cars Tour had that wonderful 2-day show that they weren't intending for. So, but the rain, here locally, I mean, we got rained out again on Saturday with our friends over at Cotton Bowl Speedway. I was getting ready to go, change, and ready to rock and roll. And right before I get out in the truck, I get the text from our buddy Sugar Sean Folsom and say, "Hey, man, we rained out." I was like, well, damn, okay. Well, I was on the way, but I guess I'll find something else to do.
And we'll get a firsthand analysis right there of everything going on at Hickory as Spencer Davis will join us just past the bottom of the hour, around 35. He'll jump in and kind of tell us about that because, what they get 56 laps in, I think it was on
54, 56, something like that.
Yeah. Then they had to reset and finish off in a little sprint. And then before that, around 15. And I say that because we're Eastern, whatever, depending where you're at. But about a quarter after, we'll talk to the winner over at Auburndale. Nick Neary will join us as well. So star-studded program that we have, talking short track racing right here with hashtag Real Race Talk. But yeah, I talked to a lot of folks, and it's like, man, weather is killing you guys in Texas, and that really has been the case, when it comes to the racetracks around here, because it's. And the bad thing about it is, like you were talking about right there, it's like everything looks totally fine. I mean, we've gotten to the point to where, like here, it really does. It feels a lot like coastal stuff because during the week, I mean, it's hot, it's humid. Some days it's really hot, even though we're not hitting those triples digits like we typically do. but it's hot. There's nothing going on. But then on the weekend, that's when
Every damn weekend it feels like it's raining.
yeah, and the bottom falls out. I mean, it's not anything. And I think what cripples us a lot with our racetracks around here, probably the same thing around the country, is that, you know, it's like, well, you know, it's a dirt track. You can race. Well, it's not the track itself. It's like the pits. You know, when you get the pits, and, you know, nobody comes in a cheap trailer anymore. So
that's true.
You know,
nobody comes in an open trailer hardly anymore either.
Yeah, nobody comes in an open trailer. So, you know, those big rigs are going to get stuck. So yeah, I'm going to calm down on that. Somebody was like, can you got to calm down? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just speaking the truth. I mean, nobody comes in an open trailer. I mean, hell, I bought an enclosed trailer when I was still at it right there at the end. So, yeah, but that's the thing. And it's like here with Texas, and that's where it's really, I mean, you really get the full aspect of it, because as big as Texas is, I mean, we're raining out down south. They're raining out all the way up north, and it's always on the weekend, it seems like.
It always rains on Saturday. Here lately, it's been Saturday mornings and Saturday afternoons after the racetrack's been prepared all week, where they got the food cooking on the grill, getting ready for a Saturday afternoon, and boom, it happened at my track down at Texana, and it happened at Cotton Bowl. Like, it was a late show. Like, there was already cars in the pits already there at Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
So it was a bad deal. Everybody, we didn't hear any horror stories online about people getting stuck in the pits this time. So that's good news.
Well, there's cars in the pits because they get there at midday. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to calm down here. They don't do that on dirt. They don't go at midday. That's only pavement.
Some do.
Most do. Hey, there's our man, Michael Lindsay. Yes, Corpus is one where it never fails right there with Corpus, and that's whole Texana's kind of in the same band right there, to where it's like that stuff hits along the coast right there, and it just starts pushing over. And like Corpus, for one thing, I mean, it's sitting right there, so they're kind of doomed to fail when you get those storms in there and those fronts. But like we said, it doesn't rain a little bit; it rains a bunch. So
in a short period of time, that's the part that sucks. So
very short period of time, absolutely. But we did have some racing that got into the two guys that we're going to talk to tonight. They were winners this weekend, so we'll talk with them and get all of those. Oh, look right here, our man, terrible Tim Sewell. He got stuck.
Oh, hell, he parks at the entrance. How the hell did he get stuck?
He got there too early. Oh man, those pits. I mean, Cotton Bowl is so hard, because that's the thing where I wish with Cotton Bowl that if I could wish them anything at all, it would be pave the pits, because the way that they kind of slope right there, the water kind of holes up at the top. I've been stuck in those pits a couple of different times, and it does become a mud hole when you get stuck in that. But
the parking lot's not all that great either. It's just straight flat.
I know that track right there. If you could have a paved pit area, that would save a lot of headache for them. But I will say the Cotton Bowl has kind of gotten over, because you remember when they first opened, I mean, it was all the time. They've had a lot better luck, it seems like. Your track and the Race Ranch are the ones that really seem to be in Texas kind of taking the brunt of rainouts and such.
4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 rainouts, I think, is where we're at right now. We were able to get that 3-day show into a 1-day Saturday show with our buddy Kevin Rogers for the Atzenhofer Chevrolet Summer Shootout. So that was good. But other than that, yeah, we haven't really raced a whole lot here. And then you got our friends at I-37 with the front stretch wall collapsing, so they're not racing. So that's we've been kind of fiending for it here. You know, if it wasn't been for the streamers, you know, we talked about find a streamer near you. Hell, none of the racetracks here have been racing because of rain and other circumstances. We've been able to take in some racing across the country with some of our various streamer friends.
Yeah, if you get a chance, if you're catching this on Racing America or one of the other platforms, check out I-37, as in Interstate 37 Speedway, on Facebook. That's over in Pleasanton. Folks say it's San Antonio. It's not in San Antonio. It's not even close to San Antonio.
It's about 40 miles away from San Antonio.
Yeah, but check that one out, because they had a storm over there, and it knocked their front retaining wall down. And they've done a really hell of a job getting that thing together. They've had to miss a lot of races, but they've done a good job on getting that back up. And I think they're getting close. And I like what they're doing. They're going to storm back in with a Wednesday night show coming up. I guess that'll be first. I don't know.
I think they're getting ready for the Stims reschedule. It's going to be their first race back.
Yeah. Okay. So looking forward to that one. But yeah, 37, those dudes need to catch a break. So if you get a chance, get on out to Pleasanton and check out that good racing. So that's the way it works over here. You got Corpus down on the very bottom. You got I-37, which is between Corpus and San Antonio. They're down I-37. Then you go all the way up towards the east. That's Cotton Bowl Speedway. And then you go way up north. And that's where you have all the DFW and Waco, kind of the equator that I call it, right there in between. That's the way the what do we call it? The geography works here in Texas.
Topography, I think, is the word you're looking
Oh,
for.
is that what it is?
I think it is. I think so. We'll have to look that one up. I think it's topography.
Well, we'll call it the dirtography because that's what we have here. And laying way over to the east, you have the asphalt track, which is Houston, and they haven't had much better luck when it comes to rain either. So
no, nobody in Texas has had good luck, especially our buddy KR. I mean, I joke with you. We're talking about the STEM series, the South Texas IMCA Modified series that we're running. I was like, because the weather, I think it was only like a 30% chance of rain. I joked with you on a text. I said, well, hell, if Stems is in town, that's going to make it at least a 50% chance.
Absolutely.
And then boom, like I said, like Tim said, that was a lot of water in a very, very short period of time that washed that place out. So
Yep, that's what happens. I'll tell you, man, it feels like Florida. I joked around that we're in Central Florida. I mean, Central Texas, but they're racing well in Florida, and they had a big one this past weekend over at Auburndale Speedway. You had the UARA, the super late models, getting after it over there with a big, huge event. The 154 going on, just a huge event, and up at the top of the pylon when that was all said and done. One of the guys from right there, very familiar name to Florida race fans, is Nick Neary that joined us here on the Revved Up Sports Show. Mr. Nick, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well, man. Doing well. So we're over here bitching about weather in Texas. It kind of feels like what you guys go through. Let's talk about the weekend for you guys. Much smoother, it seemed like on the weather front, I guess.
Yeah, it's we got pretty lucky. I know they were calling for rain earlier in the week, but it was definitely a hot one though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Hot and humid in Florida. Those are two words that go together for sure.
Yeah.
You just gotta wait about 15 minutes and Florida little shower will pop up and ruin your weekend. So
yeah.
Speaking of weekend, talk about that whole setup, man. Ricky's got a really good thing going where he keeps it in mind. I guess the words cost effective and racing don't usually go together a whole lot because there's nothing really cost effective about racing because it's also damn expensive. But I think the format he has is working from your perspective as a racer that runs over there in that series and those tracks. What is your opinion of that?
Yeah, I think Ricky does a really good job, keeping a lot of his races to a set of tires, at least for the race. I know a couple years ago for the Big League, they had limited testing tires too. I know they're talking about possibly doing that again this year. So, as much as he can, he tries to keep the budget racer in mind and do what he can to help us out and make us competitive with the bigger money guys too.
And isn't that the thing, Nick? Because having been to, a lot of the big races and, having watched you, many times myself and called a couple of your races, as a matter of fact, to see when you get out there, I always say, and I think it rubs people the wrong way to where a lot of those big races, it becomes a tire donation thing because, it's like you're going to buy all these sets of tires to go practice. But I think with what Ricky's done there with the UARA, I mean, it really does. It gives everybody about as equal of a shot to be competitive in one of these things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a lot of the reason, like the Big League Memorial has taken off so well. It's a big money race that's still just, it's a 4-tire race. And being, so close to the Derby and getting as big as it has, I think has been really impressive. The last couple of years we've been 40 plus cars, and I think it's only going to keep getting better.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that part of it too is that the Florida racing scene is so dynamic, and I don't think people give it enough credit for how dynamic it is. When you think, when we come up with, you think of Florida racing, everybody's like, oh, snowball derby, which is fine because that race has actually, it's earned what it has for 57, 58 years now. Talk about the other racing in Florida, though. I don't think that you guys down in Auburndale and even over in the Freedom Factory and stuff like that get enough credit for the damn good racing that you guys do over there because it is fun and entertaining to watch.
Yeah. And, especially the last couple of years at Auburndale, the late model fields have been really big. They're averaging 20 plus cars on the local shows. Those have been really good. And it's really good racing. Auburndale's been running twin 50s most of the last year or two. That format seemed to work really well. A lot of people really enjoy it. It's a lot of really good racing.
And Nick, I think this weekend was real indicative of that in the fact that you had a Southern Super Series race going on in Mobile, and there at the same time you guys at Auburndale. I mean, it was a great car count. I mean, the fan count was exceptional. I mean, that track never lacks for fan attendance. I think that just really shows how these programs can kind of offset themselves a little bit and still both produce really good stuff.
Yeah, there's. I think Auburndale had a lot of local cars that don't travel. You know, there's a lot of guys in South Florida where it takes so long to get out of Florida that traveling to, you know, other series and stuff makes it a little bit tougher. You know, even talking about like Pensacola, a lot of the guys down here hardly consider that part of Florida racing. So, you know, getting the such a strong field of local cars out was really cool. And then you had a handful of guys that kind of traveled in from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think that I think Florida is unique because sometimes you guys have that same problem that Texas has, where people forget it's a hell of a long way to go from north to south in Florida. You know, going from Tampa to Daytona, that's easy, right? That's a hop, skip, and a jump. But north to south is kind of a long damn way, just like it is in Texas from north to south. I think you brought up an interesting point about, you know, the guys don't consider that, you know, all the way in Pensacola, you know, light years away. And I think that's the case. Do you run into that a lot? I mean, in terms of like, you know, when you end up saying, oh, we can race here, but yet if you're looking north to south, you know, you got a 3-4 hour ride just to get to the racetrack.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that like there's a lot of good cars in South Florida and a lot of guys that really don't travel too far because of that. You know, you get Michael Atwell, who's doing a lot of traveling now with Chris Davidson. You know, for a long time, he kind of just stayed in South Florida. Jesse Dutilli did a handful of trips up to Pensacola, but really didn't travel much past that just because it's so tough. You know, from where I'm at to Pensacola is, you know, 8.5, 9 hours.
Damn,
So that's a long way to go to not leave Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you mentioned Atwell there. So let's kind of talk about the end of that race on Saturday. So kind of sitting there watching that as that was going on. Could you see that? It looked like the great Kabuki green flame coming out of the side of that car, man. And I love what Jake said. I've never seen green coming out of the brakes right there. Kind of talk about chasing them down right there, making the pass and finishing that thing off.
Yeah, I couldn't see it in the car. I've seen the pictures and everything online afterwards, but you know, over the radio, even before the halfway break, you know, getting in the information that, you know, his rotors were glowing pretty good. You know, the big thing, you know, at Auburndale, like I said after the race, you know, 50 lappers, there's guys that have a problem with the brakes fading. So I knew that was going to be a really big issue. So I was trying to conserve as much as I could, which, you know, got lucky with the invert and starting up front. I could kind of maintain that and keep the clean air and air on the brakes, I think was a big help. But yeah, you know, I kept getting the information of his rotors glowing and it getting worse and worse. And I started to make that push towards the end, you know, about 2 laps after I really started trying to get after it and make a run back up to him. I saw him kind of miss 3 and 4 and I knew he was struggling.
Yeah.
So what is it? What your personal racing preference, Nick? Are you one of those that wants to know every little detail? Or do you just say, give me the bare minimum, shut the hell up? Because, I mean, when you found out that brake was glowing, I mean, and you got to the inside and made the pass, it's like, is your team telling you, go, 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 get it? Or are you just like, I got this, you know, let me make a couple of runs? I mean, and then you're like, if his brakes aren't working, what happens if I get in front of him? Like, what else going through your mind right there? I mean, how do you handle that? I mean, is the team just yelling or you just like, I got it?
No, it's my buddy Garrett was spotting for me. He does a really good job. It's kind of a mix, you know, getting the information when you feel like you need it, but not overloading you and talking on the radio all the time. You know, Auburndale being a little quarter mile, it doesn't take long to get around there. So too much talking on the radio, things happen quick. So, you know, every few laps, kind of getting an update on that kind of thing is kind of how we try to keep it.
Absolutely. So, Nick, I do want to ask you because I know that you get a lot of back and forth with guys, you know, with tires. I mean, we were talking about that a while ago with tires and cost and so forth. Kind of speak to the American racer I'm a big advocate. Both of them. I mean, both of them. They're both great. But kind of talk about those American racers to where do they still are they still the tendency that they were a couple of years ago, where the longer you run them, maybe after a couple of heat cycles, they get a little better, or has that kind of changed a little bit up with compounds and so forth to where it's not quite that same thing with the American racer that you guys do that you guys use in UARA?
With the super stuff, you know, I mean, new tires are always going to be a little bit better. The American racer doesn't seem to have the fall off some of the other tires do. They seem to repeat really well, and they hold up really well during races. We haven't really had many times when we've had issues, unless it's something that's kind of self-inflicted. So, you know, I really like the tire. I enjoy racing on it, and it being a little bit cheaper than some of the other tires is good for the budget too.
Budget, that we've used that word a lot tonight. Budget, right? It's so hard. I mean, we have the same problem with the radio show, right? We have a set budget, but yet we're always blowing through it, just like normal racers, like we used to be when we raced. It serves at the super late model scene down there. How cool is it to know that a local track can have twin 50s and still have good competitive racing down there? That to me is kind of like when you see, you know, what Slinger does on a Sunday night, right? With some of their 50 to 75 lappers with super late models and stuff like that. I've always been impressed by the guys in Florida, or that central-ish Florida type of region, if you will, for lack of a better way to describe it, since I don't live there. But to me, it's just cool that they have such a competitive race running expensive ass race cars. Like, I think that's just cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a cool environment to be a competitor in it, especially when you don't have the opportunity, or you don't have to spend hours and hours in the truck and trailer going to different places. It's got to be a cool opportunity for you guys.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that's working at Auburndale is because Rex, you know, has a couple cars himself, so he knows what all goes into it. So he does a pretty good job looking out for the racer and that aspect. And he knows, you know, whether you're going to race for 30 laps or 100 laps, it doesn't really cost us any different going to the racetrack. So, you know, running the twin 50s to give everybody a good amount of racing to try to get their money's worth. You know, the twin 50s will only run one set of tires for both. So that makes a big help for it. And, you know, he puts up a good purse for his local shows too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's great that racers have a chance to run where you don't have to do, you know, 200 laps or 250 or whatever the case is, and that you can have something that's more condensed. So for you, with kind of the influx of racing that you have there, and again, you're in such a great spot right there. How do you determine, Nick, if you're gonna branch out, if you're gonna go somewhere else? Is it based around what you're planning to do there in the central area, or do you find the big races that you want to go do? How do you determine where Nick Neary is going to be racing at?
Luckily, you know, the last year or so, I've kind of teamed up with Grant Thormeyer, and he's been helping me out with, you know, doing a little bit more traveling, going to some of the bigger races. We're getting ready to head up to Berlin for the 250. So we're leaving this weekend to head up there. So, you know, I've been getting to do a little bit more bigger races. You know, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of it just kind of depends on work schedule and things like that too. You know, I still got a family business. I gotta help and can't take all the time off that I'd like to go racing. But you know, when I can get away, we want to go hit the bigger shows when we can.
Wait, you have a job? This isn't your life? Oh my God.
He said family business, right? It means he's built. That means they're used to it, right? That's what it is. So you realize Berlin is up in Michigan, right? That's a long ass way to go. Are you taking the car from Florida, or are you getting another ride going up there? I can only imagine. That's like going from Texas. That's like going from Texas to the Carolinas in one shot, man. That's a long ass way.
Yeah, I want to say it's right about 20 hours.
Shit. So
luckily Grant and the guys are going to be taking the car up, and I'm going to get to fly up. So get to feel like a hot shot for the weekend. But
dude,
it's good. You know, it's a fun track. I've been there once to drive myself, and I was there a couple months ago helping out with the super modified that he's got. So I'm looking forward to go back there. And the last time there, we were struggling a little bit, so hoping for some better luck this time.
So I'd like to ask you, Nick, I know it's not your division, but one of the things here in Texas, we do have a semblance of an outlaw division. And I know that Pensacola has that and so forth. And UARA has just really done a great job with transforming that into the sportsman, you know, kind of back to what that division is supposed to be, in my opinion. Kind of your thoughts just looking at that, where you've got those old chassis or whatever that, hey, let's do something with them. You get those cars, build a body, put them on there. It looks like something that's doing really well over there in those parts of Florida.
Yeah, the last few years, the Sportsman Series has been really big. Again, Ricky does a great job with it. It's really good racing. I know for a while there, they were having different winners. Most of the time, you wouldn't have a repeat winner back-to-back races. Dodge the last year has been kind of hitting his stride and been kind of dominant. But it's not something that I don't think will last forever. There's a lot of guys chasing him, trying to catch up to him. So I go out and watch the sportsman races when I can, when we're not racing ourselves. But it's a great series. Looks like a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So how did you get into this, man? We usually start out with that, but we had so much fun talking about budgets and traveling up to Michigan that we kind of forgot to ask. So is the family business part of this whole this living the dream thing you got with the race cars? Talk about how you got to where you are now.
A little bit. My dad raced off-road cars, like short course off-road stuff. When I was 5, he got me into a go-kart. So I grew up doing that, raced a lot of road racing stuff, went all over the world, got to race across the globe. Got a lot of really cool experiences doing that. And then did a little bit of Formula car racing, around 16 or so. So did some cool stuff there, did some testing with Honda back in the day, and just kind of ran out of funding for the open wheel stuff. It's pretty big money. And then we got into the late model stuff. A family friend put me in a modified mini stock years ago at Citrus. Ran that a handful of times, then we went straight to the late model.
There you go. Another great track right there, Citrus County. Last one for me, Nick. And again, congratulations on the big win there this past
Thank
weekend. So talking about the next one. So what's, as we get towards the end, because you can kind of see the end of the rainbow, or the end of the whatever you want to call it, end of the rainbow right now. Rest of the year, what's the plan for you? The 17 car to finish out.
I think really the plan is going to be to kind of follow the UARA stuff. We've got Berlin coming up. We've got a race at the Frank Grill Memorial up at South Alabama. There's going to be a race at Mobile, and then the Bigley at the end of the year will probably kind of end it off.
Excellent.
That's fun. Which one are you looking forward to the most? Because Mobile, it's a big time speed plant with that flat front straightaway. But then Berlin's wide open too. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
I always look forward to the Bigley every year. That's the one I've been really close to winning a handful of times. I feel like I've lost it just about any way I could. Hoping to finally get the win at that one. And plus, only about 15 minutes away, so it's always nice going to race and getting to sleep in your own bed at night.
There you go. That's awesome. Lastly, Nick, I did have one more. Kind of when you mentioned the Bigley, kind of talk about those folks over there, your race fans, the folks in that general vicinity where you guys are. You've got some of the best race fans in the country. I mean, those folks, they are diehard. They are all over this stuff each and every race. I mean, I always know what you're doing because I can jump on Facebook and boom, there it is. So kind of talk about that,
Sunshine
man.
State Racing, man. They keep
there
us
it is.
informed.
Yeah.
Man, they're great.
They do awesome, promoting all this stuff down here. And they spend a lot of time doing it, and they do a really good job with it. And especially, going into the Bigley, they'll probably be starting here pretty soon, making the calls and getting all the drivers down from up north that they call around to every year, and doing everything they can to make that event bigger and better every year.
Absolutely. By the way, good job. I saw on Facebook you finally did the profile picture with the lady. I saw that it took that long.
She's always laughing in the background.
Good job. Way to go. That helps you race more often, I think, probably.
Exactly. No, she's a big race fan too. So
absolutely.
It's
absolutely. Love it, man. Great job over the weekend, man. Look forward to following along and getting more checker flags for you, my man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, man. Take care. There he goes. Nick Neary, winner at Auburndale. Nice job. And it was Atwell. Woo, that thing was glowing.
That finish was fun. That finish was really entertaining. That was one thing that the couple of the races that were on that we got to watch and see, they were both pretty damn entertaining to the finish.
Yeah. that was some really good stuff right there. And like he was talking about, I mean, it's just the Auburndale. I mean, those racetracks right there. It's always it doesn't have to be, you know, a big, you know, Bill Ingram Memorial 154. I mean, just a regular race night over there. You click on there and it seems like a big damn deal. And that's when we
That's
talk
what
about
you want, though, right?
That's exactly
As
what
a racer, you want to race in races that feel like a pretty big damn deal.
that's
As a
exactly
race fan, you want to go to the races that are pretty damn big deal, and you feel like you're having a good time with it, and you know you want to be there and have a good time, and you know be part of those big events. It doesn't always have to be a mega event. Not every race needs to be a snowball derby. Not every race needs to be the speed weeks there at New Smyrna, right? I mean, you
yeah.
know, there are certain times that a 1 day show with one set of tires can be just as damn entertaining as some of these super duper long high dollar big money races.
I agree. I think that there's an absolute time and place. And our man Jake Wilson, I didn't even see this. So see, these announcers, we all think alike about the profile pick because I didn't see what Jake was talking about. Jake Wilson, of course, the voice of the UARA right there, and what a great job he does. One of the best in the business. To where it's like those shorter races, and that was a cool thing that I really liked when we were at Mobile. You know, when we would have a pro late model, 30-lap pro late model race. And there was no Jake Finch. There was no Bubba Pollard. There was none of those guys. It was guys that needed to get out there, get some seat time, get on the racetrack, work on tires, work on setup. They get out there and race their ass off like it was the Snowball Derby. So that's what's cool about those races, man. It's really good stuff. It feels like weekend racing. Like you said, everything doesn't have to be 100 laps. You know, I like the short races. The short races are nice.
They do come in handy because if you're sitting there, you don't drink as much beer, and your butt ain't near as sore when you sit there after you sit through some of these long ass races. So
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that definitely does happen. So as we talked about, just a huge weekend that we just had, and there was a massive event at Hickory, and it wound up being a couple of days. Wasn't the original plan for that, and this guy right here ended up winning what turned into I don't even know how many hours it was. It was well over 24 by the time it was all said and done. In the pro late models in the Cars Tour, winning at the Throwback Classic. What a ride for our man Spencer Davison. He joins us on the hotline. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing well. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being a part of the program. So have you spent all that money yet, my man?
No, definitely not yet, but we got a couple things in store for it here at the race team.
Okay, perfect.
there they are, racers spending all that money on race car parts. You know, you didn't want to go to like Vegas and try to bet it all on black or anything. I mean, you know, just have a little fun with it. But racers always trying to spend more money on race cars. I've never understood it.
Oh yeah, no, always trying to get the next competitive edge. I joked, saying we're going to Disney World after this and a couple interviews at the track, but nope, always just trying to find that little bit extra.
Absolutely. So Spencer, take us through it, man. So the race starts, you get 56 laps in, whatever it was. I know the weather was looming. I mean, we were all sitting there watching on Flow. Let's talk about your mindset. It's like, okay, I think we may get 50 laps in, maybe we don't get 50, but how do you program yourself to think, okay, I might have to do this shit 2 days in one of these events?
Yeah, we fired off there, and we were set up for the long run, and the 47 of Honeycutt got by us early. Once our air pressures got up, I was just kind of riding behind them, biding our time, and I could see that the weather was coming over turns 3 and 4, and quick conversation during the green flag run between myself, my crew chief, and my spotter. We knew weather was coming, so tried going there on that final restart on Saturday and grabbing the lead, and we about got by them, and actually it started downpouring pretty good, and
Yep.
1 and 2, and actually hydroplaned into them, and luckily, we both kept everything straight, but we were sitting there second for that real extended green flag run, and or that real extended red flag right there. I think like you mentioned, probably 24, 25 hours. And I'm like, man, we're gonna have to go back green. We haven't made it to halfway. So, then your next thought is okay, we're sitting there and they say 15 minutes till till cars are going back green there on Sunday. I'm looking at the weather, and hell, there's more weather coming. It kept dissipating right at the track, so I'm like, I don't know how much of this race we're going to get in. So I'm like, I just got to go out there and lead the rest of these laps, and hope if weather does come, we're the one in first when they finally call this thing, or if we get it all in.
No
So,
doubt.
Spencer, I'm either going to sound like a genius or I'm going to sound like a complete blubbering idiot. Did you come to a pro late model race in San Antonio in the mid 2000s?
Yes, sir. Like early 2010s, I think 2012, 2013,
Yep.
we came to the second to final race at San Antonio Speedway. Actually, all because of Chris Davidson and his dad trying to keep that place going and trying to get guys to come over there.
Yeah, Spencer, I call that race. But I am actually the one that called you to victory that night, and I remember it's like there's a young kid out of Georgia here, and man, put a good whooping on him, if I seem to remember that correctly. Any memories of that track? It was in pretty beat up condition at that time, but she was kind of racy, wasn't she?
It was that track was awesome. I remember when we rolled in, I actually talked to the late now Greg Davidson about it, because he's one of the reasons we came out there. Actually, a very good reason why we came out there, because we had a good relationship with him and Chris, and I got told by him and my old man, I've never seen Lakeland Speedway before, but they're like, you got to run it like Lakeland. I'm like, well, that was long gone before I was even thought of, but I know what they were talking about. And man, that track had so much character. I'll never forget the first lap around there up the speed. We hit the chip coming off a two because, the crossover, you literally jumped it because of how the trailers had made it sink in, and the boilerplate walls, and it was so much fun. I'm so happy we went out there, and we had a good car that night. We wound up winning. I think I passed Casey Smith with 10 to
Mhm.
go
Yep.
after racing nose and tail the whole race, and I think the race went green to checkered. And man, that was fun. I wish that track was still racing, and it gets brought up a lot. A lot of these people don't know about all these tracks that are around, and being able to go somewhere like that was really cool. And I'm glad I got part of the front straightaway stands. That was part of their trophy. It's still sitting in my
Yep.
trophy collection.
It's awesome, dude. That is kick ass.
Damn, I actually remember something good for a change. How
Look
about
at that.
that?
Look at that. Good call by
So,
you.
so how does that compare to a win in San Antonio special, right? Did you go to the Alamo or anything, or are you just more interested in racing in Hickory now?
No, we did go out and see the town and all. You're right there by it, so I think you're crazy if you were racing there and you're not a local to go and see the sights. It's a real beautiful part of Texas, and I still remember a lot about that racetrack and about that whole weekend. But now we're racing around Hickory and around North Carolina, and trying to still be diverse in our schedule. We didn't go quite all the places we wanted to go to this year, but the BKR bunch, we've hit a bunch of racetracks and we've done a lot of winning, which is always nice.
Yeah, you mentioned that right there. Talk about that, Spencer, the Ben Kennedy Racing Team. You guys, it started out early in February, winning races here at New Smyrna, and you've just kind of been dotting the map around with everything that you've done. Kind of talk about 2025 to this point, and obviously adding Hickory there. Really good year for you guys with BKR.
Yes, sir. First off, I gotta thank Mr. Jimmy Kitchens. He spearheaded putting us together with the BKR bunch. He came to me after our Good Cars Tour season last year, my family car, um, and just kind of talked to me about some things. It turned into a one race deal at New Smyrna, and in the super side, that was my first time in a super in probably 9 years. And
Mm.
we led one practice, finished second in the other one, qualified fourth, and we had a real good car, and unfortunately got rained out. But it spearheaded into one more race at Cordele, and that spearheaded into a full season for these guys. We put a deal together essentially to, you know, I hate to keep saying revamp Ben Kennedy Racing, but
Mhm.
you know, he trusted me to come in and bring my guys, the people I wanted to bring in, and kind of show that it wasn't their equipment. They just need the right guy behind the seat, and
Mhm.
um show that what they had was good. We haven't changed a thing. It's the same car, same shocks, same springs. They've always been running. And the one thing I asked for that I was adamant on is, I came back short track racing was to win and to have fun, and I put a group of guys around me that I could do both with. Tony Erie Jr., Tony Erie Sr. One of my best friends, Keith Lord, up there spotting for me, as well as another great friend of mine, Brian, who works on the car every day. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it without my guys. So we struck a deal together, and they put their full trust in me to show that their program is capable of winning with the people they had, the cars they had, and meshing the two together. And it's been really, really successful. I mean, for myself, I have 4 wins of the year, and I actually got to go down and take a NASCAR Brazilian driver, Gabriel Casagrande, and we went and won New Smyrna with him, his first time in a stock car. So I mean, they're to say that they're ecstatic, I think, is definitely an understatement. I mean, it's been such a great parent. I can't thank himself and some guys behind the scenes at BKR that all made this happen. They put their neck out on the line for me, as well as the Surf USA mobile guys. I mean, without that sponsor alone, none of this would be possible either. So, I mean, I think it's every short track racer's dream is to be able to come out here and kind of not take control of a team, but
Hmm.
be trusted to help guide them in the right direction. But it takes all of us. It's not just myself doing it. It's every single guy. They want to be here. They want to win. And when you have an organization like that, it's just makes everything so much more fun.
No doubt.
All right, so you heard it here first. Thanks, Spencer. Since there was a Brazilian racer and a Ben Kennedy car, that means NASCAR is going to Brazil. Thanks for confirming that rumor for us, Spencer. I appreciate that. No, and all kidding aside, though, what has Ben like? I've often wondered. I think because he's so young, despite growing up in this sport, I don't think he gets enough credit. I mean, yeah, sure, Grandpa and great grandpa were Bill France Senior and Junior, but he's got to have a hell of a racing mind, doesn't he? I mean, to want to go to Chicago and then wanting to go to the Navy base. I mean, what's he like just talking local short track racing?
I actually got the race against Ben a long time ago, back when I first started racing. He was still late model racing, and really didn't talk much. But I got an opportunity to race for him in 2016, K&N Racing, and we just kind of kept that friendship alive and kept that connection between ourselves. And I mean, he's the most respectful guy you'll ever find, just not only in the garage, but I feel like in life he has real good standards. He's a very respectable. I mean, just a human being. To say he's great to me is an understatement. I mean, people people definitely don't give him the credit he deserves, and um, I mean, he makes a bunch of good calls. I feel like for NASCAR, and he's invested in the sport, not only just in the top three level, but all the way down. I mean, yes, he owns a late model team, but he does so much for the community and so much for racing in general. I mean, he's definitely one of the good ones, and it makes me feel even more proud to carry his name, every weekend, because he holds us all to such a high standard, because he holds himself to that. And you gotta commend him for that, dude. Just what he's doing for the sport, I think, is just incredible.
Absolutely. So Spencer, let's talk about. I mean, for you, when you look at this, I mean, you're racing at Hickory, you're racing at Nashville, you're racing at New Smyrna, you're racing at Five Flags Speedway. Yeah, I know a lot of folks. It's like NASCAR Cup Series, whatever. But when you get to run these kind of cars, where this grassroots racing, where I mean, not to steal the football term, it just seems to mean more to me in short track racing. Of course, this is all I've ever done, but getting to run those venues. I mean, this has to be for you. I mean, talking about racing at old San Antonio. I mean, those kind of things. This kind of has to be for you. You got to be living the dream right here, right? I mean, especially with a team that you've kind of been put in command to guide it down the road. It's got to be some really good times right now for Spencer Davis.
It is. I spent the last couple years prior to getting back in the late model racing, K&N and truck racing, ARCA racing, and that's obviously fun. And I don't feel like any racer would ever turn down an opportunity to run in any of the top three series. But I mean, I'm a racer. I want to win, and I even said it when we were truck racing. Short track racing is tough. Super late model racing, I feel like, is there's some of the toughest competition out there, and I think you could put any of these guys in any of
Mhm.
these top three series, and they're going to find success. I mean, just like Bubba Pollard, you put him in an Xfinity car, he's never sat in one. He gets a chance, a good chance, and he has a chance to win. No different than Stephen Nasse when he was going K&N racing and Hooters Pro Cup racing. I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with. Um, I mean, I grew up racing around these guys, and that's to me that's where the competition's at, as far as throughout the whole field. It's so tough, and there's at the end of the day, there's what now 40 spots on Cup on Sunday, and I think you got 38 in Xfinity and 36 in trucks,
Yep.
and there's way more talent than that sitting here on a Saturday night, at any Midwest track, any track in North Carolina. And I mean, I'm really grateful to be able to run against these guys. Be able to come back and run against your Bubba Pollards, your Stephen Nasse's, against some of the great talent crew chiefs like, Anthony Campy. He has an amazing program. Um, I love it. I love every minute of it, and I mean, it helps when you're bringing home trophies too. I'm not gonna lie. Struggling races at this level is just as bad as struggling in the Truck Series. Winning
Yep.
at this level is just as sweet to me as winning in the Truck Series. Or if I ever, am fortunate enough to get the Run Cup on Sunday, I'm gonna soak it up all the same way. I'm passionate about what I do, and even when I was spotting a couple years ago, not really racing. I mean, I got the same thrill when we'd win them ARCA races with Landon Lewis and Bruce Cook as I did just this past Sunday.
Mhm. Yep.
So, Spencer, it sounds like it's more about the journey for you. Like, what is it? The journey, not so much the adventure. Like, it's like you haven't taken any of it for granted. And it's like when you mentioned that you had as much fun and the biggest fire when you were spotting versus racing yourself. Has that a mindset that you just developed over time, or through circumstance, or is that just something that you're just a racer and you want to be part of it however you can?
I've been racing since I was 4 years old, starting in go karting, and at some point, unfortunately, when you become an adult, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, driving race cars may not always pay the bills." I mean, it's a tough sport. Um, hell, we just won 30 grand right this past Sunday, but last month we went down to Pensacola in the Super, and I think we ran ninth. So stuff can change in an instant, and just being around the sport is what I love. I love wrapping race cars. I own a vinyl business. We make T-shirts. I've spotted. I've done all kinds of stuff, and there's so many people you meet along the way that have driven at some point, and you hear stories about them being successful, and um, it's you got to put it into a realistic perspective, and when you get opportunities like this, you really got to soak it up because I could show up tomorrow on the way to work and something could happen. I could no longer drive no more. It could be a
Right.
health problem. You could get in an accident, and just anything on earth could happen. So, just being able to be around the sport I love and in the capacities I've been able to do it is what I really enjoy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said, my man. I've got one more for you, Spencer. Again, thanks for jumping on with us on a Tuesday night here on Racing America and Revved Up, the Revved Up Sports Show. So, with the Cars Tour, obviously, you guys there with the pro late models, it was, I was very kind of suspect when everything went down, kind of the change in ownership and so forth, to where you had some of the, let's call it what it is. You had some of the big league guys that came in and they were going to take this series. But from what I can see, I mean, they've enhanced the entertainment value, which is always a good thing. But at the same time, it seems like for you guys, the competitors and the teams, they really give you guys just an amazing platform to go out there and perform in places like Hickory and the places that we're talking about. Kind of talk about being on the inside of the Cars Tour. I mean, it really seems like that thing is just blossoming as the modern day All Pro and ASA from back in the day.
For sure. I've got the Run Cars Tour since the second year has been in conception. I ran it on the super side and the late model stock side when Jack McNeely was running it, and the Cars Tour has always had that Pro Cup, ASA, UARA feel where it's like it's definitely the best around North Carolina. They know what they're doing, and like you said, when Junior, Burton, Harvick, and all of them got together, we were what I call big car racing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to be big. They're going to take it to better heights, and they just didn't scrap everything they were doing. They kind of adopted their way in and used their hand to make it better. And everything, when you swap ownership, it will have growing pains. Not everything's going to stay the same. And, they're keeping it on the right track. They're doing the right thing. And I mean, where else you gonna go? Let's be honest, and run 100 lap race for 30 grand or a hundred twenty
Yeah.
five lap race for 50 grand, and you know everything blow up for you. Right when it happens, I mean, there's been races in Canada that were huge. That have been put on for straight rail racing. The Snowball Derby pays a lot, but I mean, not anywhere I can think of you can go run 100 laps for 30 grand and be on that type of spectrum just yet. I mean, Flo's done an amazing job. The officials are doing a great job. I mean, they got it going on. I'll give the Cars Tour that. And that was part of the attraction last year of going to run that series. The late model stocks are their babies, and rightfully so in this area. That's what's biggest. But they've done a good job at making the cars, pro late model field just as competitive and keeping them just as welcome. And I think it's only going to get better, right? It's showing itself. It's picking up, and they're putting effort into both, which is always nice from a straight road guy standpoint. Being able to run close to home and run for a competitive series.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't have anything left other than just say congratulations, man. That was a hell of a finish there the other night, and you were elbows up and put it to them there those last couple of laps. So congratulations on the big win. Don't try to spend all that money. Try to have a little fun with it. Don't try to spend it all. And then tell Ben we're looking forward to him, and hell, tell him you had a good time, and see if he'll come on our show. That'd be pretty awesome.
There you go.
Oh yeah, no, I'll definitely pass the word along. Maybe we can get them on here, and you guys can talk some good old short track racing.
Damn right. All right, Spencer, thanks so much, man. Appreciate the San Antonio memories, man, making me feel really old with that one. So yeah, good stuff. And we'll talk again soon, man. Thanks for hopping on a Tuesday.
Thank you guys for having me again, and looking forward to the next one.
You betcha. Take care, man.
Thank you.
You bet. There he goes. Ben Kennedy Racing. It is Spencer Davis, winner of the Pro Late Models over at Hickory Motor Speedway. And that, damn, that track, it just looks, God,
it's so worn out, but yet it's one of those, don't touch it. It's wore out. It's bumpy. It is just, it's kind of like the Rose Bowl to a certain extent. It's rough around the edges, but when you pull up at that joint, you're so, it's kind of like, well, I guess like North Wilkesboro, but I think it's lost some of its luster since they went in and put all that money into North Wilkesboro. But Hickory's still there. It's the same old monster it's always been, and it's got a good Saturday night program for the most part. But these big races that they bring in, the tours and stuff like that, it's a special place. The birth of NASCAR stars. It's next generation showing out of that place too.
It really is. It really is cool to watch, especially like his class, like Spencer's class. I mean, when you watch a Pro Late Models, which I mean, the suspension on those cars, everything that's built into that. You know that they are built to handle whatever. To see them bouncing around like that, it's like you feel for the guy that's behind the wheel when you had the pile up at the end of the race, in the throwback race and the late model stock car race, when you had that wreck at the end and those guys are out of control. It's like, okay, they're sitting there bouncing around, but when the car started sliding, it's like they gained speed, heading for the tire barrier. So it was that's one of those racetracks that it's a quarter mile. I mean, it does. It feels like, for us, it feels like CC Speedway. That's exactly what I think of when I see that. And I guess my heart breaks a little bit when I see that. Anyway, but just a hell of a weekend for them, hell of a weekend for the Cars Tour and people. This is where you see the whole, like we're talking about with North Carolina with asphalt racing, short track racing. Damn good crowd considering everything, because that thing was way late by the time they finally got all that thing done.
11 o'clock when it was over, wasn't it? After the red flag and everything, it might have been maybe it's 11 o'clock here. It was pretty late. It was Cinderella was starting to dance, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And kind of one of the stories to talk about there again, Spencer winning that race in the pro late models. In that whole weekend, and one of our guys, I reached out to him. It was kind of one of those last minute things where I'm like, let me check in with Caden Honeycutt. Not able to get something put together for tonight, but Caden, kind of a bad scenario there for him in both races, depending on how you look at that. Um, I don't know, the restart thing.
The play-by-play guy said he got a heck of a good start, and that's all the play-by-play guy said, right?
Yeah.
And no disrespect, we've been there, right? We know that how that's the double-edged sword, right?
Of course.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess like you said, depends on which side of the fence you're on that deal. Depends on your version of that. So.
And that's where it's so different now, because depending who the lead car or whatever you want to call the pace car is going to be. I mean, back in the old days, the lead car was on the inside. I mean, there was no choose, there was none of that. So it was easier to manipulate the start depending on what you were going to do. I mean, one of the things I learned very early was I would, like, if I'm on the pole on a restart, I'm going to drag you like that, like they do on dirt. I'm going to drag the field down into the corner, and then I'm going to shift, and I'm going to do all these different things. But you're on the inside, so you're the one that's in control. But if you're like the lead car and you're on the outside and the choose and all that, it makes it a lot different. And with all of that, yeah, the 17 car did jump the start when you look at it, but that's part of this, to where it's like the other car's not going to go because you have an idea what the other guy's going to do. And if he's sitting there cleaning tires off and he's sitting there, jumping up and hitting the accelerator and all that, you get an idea what the guy's going to do. But that's a cool thing about the head games, where if you're sitting over there, you're doing all that shit and then you don't go. So, but I mean, all of that happens. Honeycutt ends up, he parks it at the end, and then the other story, no longer with Nice, moving on to something different, a different OEM, and here he is going with Friesen again to finish out the season. Just an unfortunate end of the year for Stuart Friesen, but that's a good landing spot for him, I think, with a motivated race team, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. He's I think he's with the Young Brothers this weekend.
Yep.
I think he's going to run the O2 just to make sure that he starts. I don't know how long he'll be running, but he'll be there to get the participation points, which is what he needs before he gets in that Stuart Friesen ride there coming up at Richmond. So I think that it's a tough deal. In reality, though, that whole start thing saved him a race car. Because if he doesn't get that good of a start, he's going to be piled up in that.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's a blessing in disguise. Yeah, he lost out on $50,000. That is a big bummer. But he saved $100,000 race car. So
yeah, and that's, of course, that whole incident right there with the call it jump start, whatever it was there with Honeycutt. That was what precipitated the big crash, and you were kind of waiting for that to happen at some point. And I didn't really like, I'm taking the fact out of here that I'm a Caden Honeycutt friend and a Caden Honeycutt fan. I didn't like a lot of that being kind of pinned on Caden Honeycutt and whatever the start may have been right there. That's just where it comes down to. You're going for a win. I mean, you're going for $50K right there, and that's what's going to happen
with under 20 to go.
Yeah, and you tore up a lot of stuff, but that's the nature of what we have. I don't care about the surface. I mean, we see that all the time on either surface, on dirt or pavement, to where you get down to the end of one of these things, and people are going to get aggressive, and you're going to pull out all the shots, especially. And you had to know that with these guys, they had to be pretty damn frustrated. That was a long weekend, and I just hated that you did get a lot of stuff tore up, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast right there. And when it all comes down to it, I mean, who's at the front? Minnie Terrell's there, and
right place, right time.
Almost had it, almost called it.
Fryer almost had it.
Out of nowhere. I'm sitting there watching it, and it was like, as this thing's going on, I'm watching the ticker, and it's like I'm seeing cars bouncing around everywhere. I'm there, Jared Fryer, just clicking them off. Pretty good run right there for Minnie Tyrell and Jared Fryer, 1 and 2 right there at the end of that one.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, but you can't blame Caden for a 3 wide coming out of turn 4 either. No. So that's not necessarily his fault either. But I mean, I thought the biggest thing, though, I think as long as we've been in this, though, there is still racing, and you have it with football and the other major sports, but there is such an entertainment factor involved with racing that sometimes we especially with the jobs that we have to do by taking boring races and making them exciting. When you have an exciting race that does it on its own, that's pretty damn exciting too, and it makes it a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
that to me, it had that little bit of level, it had that extra level of excitement to it. And then the fans sometimes, like the crashing and burning, unfortunately, that you get to see with carnage and stuff like that. But whatever it takes to get the race fans to the racetrack and put the ass in the seat is what matters the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, I mean, when you want to talk about a crash, I mean, that 97 car, I mean, that thing had part of the tire barrier under that thing when they drug it in.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a hellacious crash. And this is where you go back to, this is where you talk about tracks with character, to where when that wreck happened, I was hoping that the weather would stop at Hickory, or that the rain would stop, because I'm like, as much as it's raining, so much of that shit's going to seep into the pavement because there's cracks everywhere. So that's what you have going for you, is that you've got a banked racetrack, and with the cracks, that stuff is going to go in. But
you can't use a jet dryer because it's just going to tear the track up.
And that was the other thing, where it's like, well, whatever, just Charlotte's down the road, why not have a jet dryer? It's like, because then you have no surface. So that's kind of a pointless idea right there. But it's like when those dudes hit the tires, it's like, holy shit, it's like a whole nother storm. And I don't know what they put. Did you see that? Because it wasn't speedy dry. They put this white shit down there. I don't know what that was to soak that stuff up, but it's like they take off and there's white. It looked like cocaine all into turn one. I'm like, what in the hell is going on?
I mean, I saw it, but I was like, that's
Oh,
interesting. I was like,
yeah.
I mean, like we used to joke about, when there's too much kitty litter, close your eyes, it puts a little bit of glitter on you, and you tell your better half you was at the races and not the lounge. So
yeah, that stuff comes out, and I'm like, oh my God. But is a hell of a finish right there, and just a really entertaining weekend. And I got to tell you, and like when we were talking to Nick Neary, it was the other part of that is you had 15 super late models, I think it was, at Mobile. And I do want to give a shout out to our man, Eddie Shoemaker, a friend of mine. He is actually now, from something that I saw on the show before us on Racing America, we saw Tim and Steve talking about Eddie now the owner of Mobile International Speedway. And that's been quite the journey.
Ordeal might be a good word, maybe.
I will tell you that has been quite the whatever to get that done. And thanks to Miss Ida, for her time and everything that she's done there. But I think with Eddie and everything that he's done, to make Mobile, with that big event that they had right there, just when you want to count Bubba Pollard out, just when you're ready to say, and this has happened a lot of times in the last few years, well, Bubba's having an off year. He comes up and just whoops everybody. It's like these guys are doing whatever, and it's like, who's leading? Oh, it's Bubba. That dude is not going to lose at Mobile.
No, he's not. He's got that place figured out with a rocket, and it's good to see. I'm assuming he's going to end up in Berlin for that big 250 race.
I don't think he's doing that. I don't think
he's not going to do that one.
I don't think he's doing that one. And that's where I have to think that he's maybe more solely focused. And that's the other part about it, to where, like when we were talking about with Nick, because it seemed like, because with UARA having their big show at Auburndale, it was like, and it took me a little bit to realize, I'm like, oh shit, you got Southern Super Series and they're both running at the same time. They both had really good car counts. So that's where I'm like, okay, well, I mean, whatever. I mean, and that's what you want. That's what you want. You want that to happen. And but Pollard, geez Louise, come on, man. This dude, it's he beats Matt Craig and Colby Howard and Cole Butcher. Horrible run. He finished 7th.
Yeah. Well, after the tear he's been on, anything other than a podium is going to be a letdown.
And I saw today, I think it was on the Mobile Facebook page, and we'll kind of wrap up our asphalt short track racing, kind of talk some dirt here in just a minute, maybe get to some NASCAR stuff. So it, you have these guys that get out there, these Cup guys, Stuart Friesen, unfortunately hurt in a short track accident that's kind of ended his year. At this point, we've had a lot of guys that get injured when they go off and run short tracks. Bubba Pollard on Sunday, he didn't go short track racing. He went to the dirt He went to the dirt. He didn't go to his Sonoya Raceway. This is Bubba Pollard on Sunday. That's Bubba Pollard coming off a bull.
In shorts.
In shorts and boots. Come on, BP. I'll tell you, man, the dude is untouchable. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's kind of the curse. But yeah, that our man Kerry Stapp that I used to race with over here at Kyle, and that we all race with in the Texas areas, he was a bull rider, and he went car racing to get away from this violence. There's your short track Jesus right there, getting thrown off a bull bareback. Jeez Louise. Bubba, come on, man. Come on. We need you around, buddy.
That's interesting. You did some homework to try to find that.
That one just kind of stumbled across me. And we need to get him on here. We need to get him on here maybe in a couple of weeks, and we can talk about, we don't need to talk about Mobile. We'll talk about the bull riding experience. I have a funny feeling it's probably not the first time that crazy ass dude has jumped on the back of one of those.
No, probably not. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. I think as well as we know, Bubba Pollard, probably not the first time, and he may have had a cold beer or two before he did that. Just guessing.
A hunch. Yeah, just a hunch.
Just guessing. Before we come back and talk some NASCAR stuff, we're going to tell you about our friends at My Race Pass.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass, the ultimate racing resource.
Precision, consistency. Just like in racing, these are our values in screen printing, embroidery, and everything in between. If it's branded, we can do it.
Hey, I'm Ross Chastain, and you're watching Racing America.
Back live on a Tuesday, #Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Thank you all for being a part of the program every Tuesday right here. It is 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And thank you all for liking the socials and being a part of this. We love the growth. We love the growth. We love the great guests. I mean, these guys tonight have just been exceptional, man. Really great racing conversations we had tonight.
Yeah, lots of fun. Well, we like it when the racing conversation's real. That's why we have the #Real Race Talk, unfiltered and live. That's why you like it. So that's the only way to do it, to get the real live, real world reaction to the questions we ask.
That's right. And that's why we are live, and you guys are free to check in at any point. Again, RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Usually the day after the show, Wednesday, as it would be usually, you can catch the audio podcast. That's also on Apple. It's on Spreaker. It's on Google Play. It's everywhere. You get the audio podcast. If you're driving along and just want to listen to it, you can't watch the replay, go back and check out the audio replay, subscribe and like it, and the YouTube page as well, if you get a chance, as well as all Racing America socials. All right, Bobby, off of a NASCAR weekend, here we go. Iowa didn't have a problem with, you text me. It's like, man, there's a lot of people there. That it was good to see the stands juiced over there. And again, that's a whole different conversation that we can have about why IndyCar lacking at Iowa. But another NASCAR weekend. Well, here we go. I like that racing, I guess. So, yeah, another NASCAR weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rank it up there as like a huge, earth-shattering race weekend. I think the biggest thing that's surprising out of that race weekend is you had two basically sellouts for both races. And yet they're probably not going to be there in 26, and IndyCar is not going to be there in 26. So it's kind of like, well, I mean, poor track. And it's weird because not NASCAR owns Iowa. It's no secret that NASCAR owns it. But it's I mean, it wasn't a great race ratings wise. Now Xfinity ratings were through the roof again. The cup race a little better than it was. So it's I don't know. I mean, it just wasn't it didn't move the needle enough for me. And it's the same thing. All this telemetry, all this, he gonna run out of gas. He gonna run out of gas, and then you got enough gas to do a burnout. Don't like that to me. If your crew chief is telling you to go, unless they tell them to purposely burn it down when they're supposed to run out of gas, just pull it up, park it. Say, yeah, we just barely had enough gas. Not the whole dramatics of, oh, we're gonna run out. We're gonna run out. We're gonna run out, and then you got enough to do burnout.
That was my big thing coming out of that, to where it's like, oh, all right, whatever. I mean, it kind of kills the whole thing with a fuel economy race. And I don't necessarily mind a fuel economy race if indeed it's really an issue. But I just never felt that was going to be an issue with the way that was going on right there. And the whole thing with Iowa, it's really tough. I've seen some stuff from folks that I think are pretty much on the inside enough to know that it was kind of a, I hate to say, self-sabotage deal with the Indy cars. The weather was fucked up too for that. I mean, let's be very candid.
I mean, there's a tornado on, tornado warning during qualifying. So.
Yeah, a tornado happens to be on the ground. I mean, that's one thing that's going to kind of, that might mess with attendance, but and it's back to the conversation that we had last week, and we played that sound from Kenny Wallace, to where it's like, look, Fox didn't do a good job of pushing that race in front of people. Iowa Speedway didn't do a good job of pushing that race in front of people. But when you get to, and this is where it's so weird between the two, because Iowa to me just doesn't seem like an IndyCar hotbed. I guess maybe that's not the right way to say it. In a perfect world for me, I want to see IndyCar back at Michigan, Texas, and Pocono. And again, I understand the reason that they're not, and why they probably shouldn't be, just because of the tragedies that we've seen there.
I mean, they're going to Arlington. That's close enough to TMS.
Yeah, but they're going to race around Jerry's place. I mean, and that's where, to me, it's a little frustrating, towards like, let's do a double. I mean, let's do an oval race, and then let's do, the road race. And I've been a big advocate of TMS being in front or after Indianapolis, the 500, but that's IndyCar. That's a whole different discussion. Well, we got to talk about that.
I say, have we been on since Fox bought in?
We haven't.
No, we have not.
That's a big damn deal right there. Where Fox, and they really are placing a lot of emphasis on that. It seems like, if I'm NASCAR, I'm like, well, hey, what are you doing here? But that's a Fox control entity at this point, near as I can know. What, 1/3 of it, right?
Third, yeah. But it barely cracks the deal. If it's 1/3, it was, a couple of hundred. It was in the 5 figures, as reportedly, which makes their deal. That makes IndyCar worth, $600-700 million.
Yeah,
which is not a lot of money comparatively to what you think it might be.
Yeah, and that's where, with the TV package, I mean, that's super important. I don't know the absolute whatever of any of the TV packages, but the fact right there that Fox is kind of invested in that. And this is where I think that I know that the NASCAR thing is kind of already set, but I think for NASCAR, this could kind of be a game changer. And I really do. I miss Amazon, or what was that? Yeah, Amazon. Amazon kind of jacked things up when they did those races, because it's like I turn that on and I'm bored by the pre-race. The post-race is no good. I mean, it's like they kind of changed the bar on the way everything was done, and now it's like, okay, now we're kind of stuck with this. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the NBC coverage, and it's not just Lee Diffie. It's a lot of it where I'm like, it's just. And a race like Sunday doesn't help. If the racing was better, maybe that would be, maybe at Daytona I'll change my mind. I don't know, but I don't know, man. I'm just not jazzed up about it.
I mean, I don't know. It's the same thing. I think Amazon was a game changer this season. It really was. And as much as people don't want to admit it, because we couldn't watch it, or we didn't have it, or yada yada yada. Amazon upped the game to a level that nobody thought they were going to remotely do.
Yeah.
And now all the other networks are trying. TNT tried. They had a lot of the same people in the same faces in different places, but it didn't feel the same.
No.
That Amazon coverage felt like Fox felt 25 years ago.
Yeah. Amazon gave the streaming feel. I mean, kind of the gloves off, to where you're not restricted on things. And again, I don't need people on there shouting the F word or calling somebody a SOB or none of that. I mean, it just seemed a lot looser. It just the flow, FLOW, just seemed a lot more a lot looser. You know what I mean? It didn't
organic.
Yeah. It didn't seem it seemed like people broadcasting a race that were there to have a good time and trying to deliver the best product that they could to the end user.
Which is weird because that's what we said about NBC 4 or 5 years ago.
I know. And it's like, and that's the thing where so often to me, and I hate to feel like the get off my lawn guy when it comes to where I listen to a lot of the NASCAR coverage now, whether it be in print or on the Twitter or whatever. It's like, it's the same people covering it and it's all covered in the same way. And I think that's what was so cool about Amazon, even though they didn't do anything that was outlandish. It was just covered in a different way.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds stupid, but I don't know. I just, it feels like we're back to just cars going around the track on Sunday, with not a lot of whatever,
I don't know. I mean, at least the only good thing is with this TV deal they got is that every major network that has it, the 4 major networks or 4 major entities, they all got a crown jewel race. Fox got the Daytona 500. Amazon Prime got the Coke 600. TNT got the Brickyard 400. And then NBC is going to have the Southern 500 and the championship race.
Mm-hmm.
Pick your poison on what you like better. I still wish we lived in a universe where Indy 500 and Coke 600 were on the same network on the same day.
Yeah. Well, the other part about it is I see a lot of folks that are kind of casting shade at NBC or whatever it's called, to where it's like only 4 of these final races are going to be on NBC. But you just look at that. That's where these sports or these broadcast companies, they spend a lot of money for these rights, but they're invested in so many different things. I mean, if you turn on NBC and just on the actual big NBC, if you turn that on, I mean, they're heavily invested in golf. They're heavily invested in all these. I mean, they are one of the biggest PGA TV providers that you're going to find. And whether you like it or not, golf is going to win out over NASCAR.
I mean, they own the Golf Channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love Peacock, the Peacock, as I say. I think that's a great avenue there. I mean, I happen to think for the folks that say, oh man, it's pretty bad that you're cast off on USA. I'd rather be on USA than FS1, because to me, USA is more of a recognizable. Of course, I think of Raw, Silk Stockings, all of those shows.
Yeah, well, it's in more households, and you don't have to get an extra sports tier, to watch USA.
Yeah.
Although FS1 is pretty much now a standard sports tier now.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike when they put all the races on NBCSN, where you had to do like double sports tiers to get NBCSN, but NBC spent all that money to get subscribers and a user base to want to get NBCSN. That's what it was used for. That's the only reason Amazon did it. They wanted more people to get Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they spent money. In a roundabout way, it's reverse advertising.
Mm-hmm.
You spent the money to get this. It's no different. TNT got the rights so they could get people to get eyeballs on TNT to sell more revenue, to sell more ad space, more runtime. Amazon did it the same thing, kind of the reverse advertising. They got it. Yes, they sold commercials for it, and they sold reads, and they sold spots and all kind of stuff for it. But they also sold a boatload of Amazon Prime subscriptions to get people to watch it.
And that's the thing about it too, where if you think about that, and that's a great point, because let's say, a race on NBC versus USA. So when it comes to advertising, when it comes to trying to sell those spots, those 30-second spots, those 60-second spots, side by side, whatever, however you're going to do it, if you're an advertiser, you're probably more apt to do it on USA. It's probably going to cost you less.
Cheaper, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the whole thing is, I mean, with Amazon and all that, and it still amazes me that so many folks talk about with the streaming stuff, but they'll find a way to go to the in-car camera and Kyle Larson on HBO Max on Sunday, to where it's like, you know, I was riding with Larson the whole race. Well, I mean, but yeah, you were complaining that you didn't want to watch Amazon Prime.
And you didn't want to pay for it.
Same shit. Yeah. So that's just another number, and that's where, you know, I tell, and this shit is really going to get crazy now, because with whatever's going on with the NFL and ESPN with the Red Zone, if
Tomorrow. They announce that tomorrow.
If this thing is done, this is, I mean, here's that shift where you talk about where this thing has been building, boom. Because Red Zone, when you think about NFL Red Zone, that is what, in my opinion, that is fantasy football. That thing was developed for fantasy football, for people.
Well, that and ADHD.
Yeah. And
I'd much rather watch Red Zone than all the other boring ass games, though. I'll watch my team. I'll watch the Texans play. But now, thanks to fantasy football, I really care. You know, the wide receiver, the Steelers, I need him to get 30 points for me. I'm going to watch Red Zone to see what he does.
Yeah. And for me, it's just about being entertained. I mean, because if you turn on, I mean, I don't know. Let's say that Fox has Carolina against Jacksonville. Are you really going to sit there and watch that for an hour?
Nobody, unless you are a diehard Carolina fan or a diehard Jacksonville fan, nobody gives a damn.
Yeah. You come rolling up in here, and it's going to be Red Zone, probably Red Zone again, and one of the national games on the Tom McKay system here. And, you know, if the Cowboys are playing still, glutton for punishment, that's going to be on. I may turn the Texans on. I may turn on if it's the Eagles and the Commanders. Maybe that's on.
Hey, Redskins, that could happen. I doubt it, but that could happen.
Indians too. Cleveland Indians.
I could see Redskins before Indians, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I you know, as much of a pain in the ass that team was to me, I like that. I like that old helmet and logo. I mean, I like that. I mean, I grew up watching that. I grew up hating those people.
Not the Reds.
The Washington Redskins.
The team, not the okay.
Not the Redskins. No, we were actually laughing, Bucky and I, the other day. We were doing some crosstalk, and we were talking about when the Cowboys had, and again, it was the older black gentleman that was the Cowboys mascot, Crazy Ray, where that dude would come out with two guns that had blanks in it, and he would like walk up to the Redskin, to the Indian, and like shoot him in the head with smoke coming out, and the Indian would fall down. It's like, imagine that now.
Imagine that nowadays. Never get on that. Thanks to our friends at Google, Liberty Media bought Formula One for $4.4 billion.
Sheesh. God.
And I can't find the Fox amount. It was mid five figures.
I just wait for the day. I wait for the day, because it's like, you know, we talk about NASCAR being the family-owned property, and I think the more and more that everything happens when it comes to lawsuits and calling NASCAR a monarchy and doing all of these different things, and you know, the conversation we just had, you know, talking about Ben Kennedy, I just wait for the day that NASCAR says, all right, we're going to sell this thing. And that's where
they can make money.
Oh my God. Can you think about that, Bobby? And just imagine the uproar. Because right now it's like, oh, you know, these kids, these, you know, the France family and whatever that are doing this, that they've lost their way. They're not doing things the way. Imagine when they decide to say, all right, screw it. We're done. We're selling this thing off. We're going to make some money.
And they will sell it to a media company. And a media company or a private equity firm, one of the two.
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah, let somebody else do this. Let somebody else do this. You think that bringing in a kit car and doing all these, you think that that's radical? They warmed us up to that. We had a warning, and we had COVID in the middle of that to give us an extra year to wait for that to happen. Imagine when they sell this thing and shit just starts happening like that. We'll be dying to have the France family back.
Man, I almost had it. I was trying to watch the Sports Business Journal. They said 135 million before it blacked out on me because I'm not a subscriber to the Sports Business Journal.
Sheesh, that's a lot of money
for Fox to buying into Penske.
Man, that's a lot of money to watch car racing.
To be part of it anyway. Well, you're buying your own content.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I just wonder how much the ESPN thing's going to cost over the air now if I can't get it as part of my Disney bundle. That's going to be
for Red Zone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. And yeah, it was announced tonight. Breaking news right here. Sports Business Journal. Disney, ESPN, and NFL and the NFL on Tuesday night announced a deal whereby the network will acquire NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, NFL Fantasy Football assets from the league in exchange for a 10% stake in the network. The agreement still described as, quote, non-binding, unquote.
I thought they're supposed to. Well, the earnings call is tomorrow, so we'll get more info about it tomorrow.
God.
They're just trying to get ahead of the unconfirmed report. So
sports. And sports, what a business. What a business. And that's why the whole NASCAR thing, if they ever decide we're done, holy moly. And the whole thing about it is, I think as much as people want to think that folks don't give a shit about NASCAR, if it became insiders that had a lot of money, if it became an insider thing to where possibly a deal could be made to acquire NASCAR, how many people do you think would be knocking on that door?
Oh, more than you think. I think more than you think. I think there'd be a dozen media, probably 6 or 7 media entities and 6 or 7 private equity firms.
Yeah. And I think Disney and ESPN, and that's where it's so amazing, where it's like, I'm not surprised this happened, because if you look at what happened here with ESPN and Disney, right before this came down, they laid off all these people. It was these massive job cuts in Bristol. All this shit that happened. What are they doing? They're going to spend their money in different places. It was like there's other ways to spend the resources, and they found it. Freaking the NFL Network and Red Zone. Jeez. And speaking of Bristol, that the baseball game, it great looking venue, but man, I did not hear a lot of good things about that, man. That sounded
hot dogs, all kind of stuff.
Hot dogs, no cheese for the nachos, none of that. They should have come here. I've got tubs of that Rico's cheese in my pantry that I could have sold them.
But you know what though?
$1.
The most highly attended baseball game ever.
Yeah. But, and we were actually talking about this morning when it came down to when folks were talking about logistics and all that. Why is it surprising that people couldn't get in and out of that place?
They do it for a NASCAR race.
Yeah, but they go like 4 days ahead.
That's true.
You go camp there. I mean, you can't just escape in and out of there. It's like a 1-lane little, like we talk about 812 out here. I mean, that makes 812 look like the tollway. Trying to get in and out of there. And it's like, I saw that where it's like, well, NASCAR does a good job with it, but yeah, but people camp. They go there, the races, the baseball game is Saturday, they go on Wednesday and they leave on Monday. The weather was bad, everything was bad. It was just
kind of an all around bad deal.
It's kind of a bad deal. And I still find people blaming NASCAR for that.
Well, they can't control the weather.
It's not NASCAR's problem that the game was a piece of shit and whatever. I mean, that's not NASCAR's fault.
It's SMI, if anybody.
Exactly. Or MLB. I mean, for doing it. I mean, it looked great. I mean, I saw some tickets that were sold for $90 that were, whatever. I don't know. People are going to.
If it hadn't rained, I don't think it'd have been such a bad deal.
The food thing and the in and out egress and all that was the big thing that I heard, and that was on the rain day. And you know what happens when it rains over there? It's never easy. So anyway, why we got to end on a negative note?
We could find something positive to talk about.
Let's see, what can we talk about that's positive? You guys are racing this weekend in Texas.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I was ready to go last weekend and it rained out at noon. So
I think this weekend's going to be fine. I think that everything's going to be all right to where you guys will get in. I think Corpus is this weekend as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, well, it is what it is. There's not a lot of dates, and weather factors in. I mean, just get on out to one of the racetracks here if you're going to.
And 2 weeks away is our friends at Houston back in the business.
That's right. That's exactly right. So kind of back to the Bubba conversation. Bubba on the back of the bull. He is supposed to run, I think, at the Northern race. So there you go. There you go. So we'll see. We shall see. All right. On the schedule for you this week, my man, you got the Saturday racing in between, my friend.
Not a whole lot. I'm actually going to try to work on the merch stuff to get some stuff done. I'm going to try to do some show updates on some graphics and different stuff like that. And then who knows what else I'll get into between now and Saturday.
You need to pull that shirt up again. Show folks what you got happening right there. I'm going to take myself off the screen. That way we can get these people to get you some commerce and be out there repping.
On-demand shirts, baby.
Take a look at that.
Where'd it go?
There we go. Right there.
Yeah.
There it is.
Hard to see the camera when you got it in your face. So.
Yeah.
But that's the new BC merch. Be available soon, along with some hats too. So
there you go. Get yourself one of those, my friends. Again, if you want some of the Revved Up merch, it's in the description. Also at revvedupsportshow.com. Click merchandise up on the top, and it'll get you over to it. All right, man. Great conversation tonight. Nick Neri joining Spencer Davis. Winners Tuesday with some late model guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. By the way, we have been getting love on all the socials, including the Race America socials. Don't forget to show our YouTube channel a little bit more love. We need a few more subscribers on there, and you can actually be notified. One, it's really easy to be a subscriber. You just click it if you're on the TV, press the up button, and it'll pull up a way to subscribe to the channel. And then also, if you're already subscribed, don't forget to hit like and share the videos. If you hit a like button, it helps the the YouTube algorithm and gets us seen a little bit more. So.
Yep, absolutely. Do that if you get a chance. Check out all the archives. Again, the hub is revvedupsportshow.com. All right, we'll do it again next Tuesday night right here, same time, same place, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. We'll talk short track racing, talk some NASCAR, talk everything, talk real life. It's right here, #Real Race Talk. It's Showtime Bobby Chaffee down south in Central Texas. I'm Rodney Rodriguez. I am up north. We'll see you guys again next Tuesday night for the Revved Up Sports Show.